Welcome back to the channel, guys. This video today is about, I've had a couple questions about this, is what are parts that you want to hold on to if you're going to own this car long term before Lexus discontinues making some of these, because almost everything is still available right now, 10 years from first production here. What parts do you want to hold on to? And basically the short answer is things that you touch, things that you sit on are things that you want to hold on to if you're going to keep these cars for long term. You know, I'm talking 10 plus years. And something my wife and I have done basically since we've been married, and we've been married almost 20 years, is any of the new cars that we buy a spare steering wheel, we buy a spare armrest, we buy a spare shift knob. And those are just things that, and since then, I've also added to that a seat cushion or a seat bottom as well. But we've had F-150s that we've done that with, Honda Accords, we've had Toyota Land Cruiser, anything like that we buy when the vehicle is new, because it's obviously still being produced. Some of those are not inexpensive, but you put them on the shelf and don't worry about them. And if you sell the car, then you can sell the part and make most of your money back then, if not more, because in certain instances, they become rare, like steering wheels and things like that. But that's not the point. The point is it's a spare replacement for usual driving and wear. Specific to the GSF, especially because it's a very low production car, that you want to try to pick up any spare parts you can while they're available new from Lexus. And the extreme example of that is like the carbon fiber pieces, the carbon fiber trim, but we now have great companies that offer refinishing and things like that, so probably less emphasis on that anymore. But steering wheels, yes. Seats and seat leather, the bolsters, absolutely. Try to pick those up while you can. They are not inexpensive. The seat back and the seat bottom, each of those pieces, if you buy them on sale at Bell Lexus or something like that, about $1,000 a piece, so $2,000 per seat if you wanted to buy the whole front. And those, they're expensive, but every time you see a used set come up, they're worn to hell. And so this is something that I would definitely just buy and put on the shelf and not worry about it until maybe you don't even need them. You know, that's the best case, and then you sell them later, because there will always be a demand for surfaces that you touch. Now, other items that are becoming a hotter commodity are headlights for these cars, and the GS350 with the all-wheel drive that has the triple beam, or the standard GS350 that had the optional triple beams. Those are all the same part. And these headlights are like $4,000 a piece. And the problem is if you get moisture in them, which seems to happen quite a bit on these, the moisture gets in them and then it flows down to the bottom and it messes with the daytime running light. So then the LED fails with the driver board and all of that. So if you have moisture in your headlight, replace it or get it resealed right away. Otherwise, you're going to have issues later. And the supply on eBay and the forums and everywhere else, it's pretty minimal. And so I think that while they're available, I would 100% grab them. Hopefully there will be some Chinese aftermarket companies or something that will prove to have a reliable replacement down the road. But right now, there's only one or two out there on AliExpress, Alibaba, and I don't know how good they are. But that being said, the headlights are also something that I would pick up, along with the taillights. The taillights are known to bubble with the chrome on the inside of them. They flake off and then they look terrible. But the taillights are probably another thing that I would set my eyes on getting a set, you know, maybe buy two here and then the other two later on or something, you know, so it's not overwhelming to your budget. But I think that that is definitely something to keep an eye on. Another one, they're already expensive, is wheels. The factory OEM forged BBS wheels. If you bought them new from Lexus, they're like $2,300, $2,500 a piece, and the price keeps going up every year, especially with all the tariff situation going on now. They're even more expensive. But a used set, you can find a used set for like $4,000. And so they're still just ridiculously expensive. And that's also why the wheels, when you see a lot of these come up for sale, people put RCF wheels on them and then go sell the GSF wheels because you can get more money for those, and RCF wheels are pretty plentiful. So that is something. But there's other parts specific to the GSF, like on the rear bumper, there's an applique, which is just a clear film that says Lexus in it. Those are like $50. But they're still available. I don't know, that's something that it's probably not specific to the GSF. It's just a clear piece of film with the Lexus logo in it. but that's something that it's a wear item over time because it starts to get dirt under it and it needs to be replaced, or it starts to yellow. And so that's something that I have sitting on my shelf. Another extreme example is the grille, the front grille assembly. That is like the unicorn part for these cars, and they are going to be unobtainium when Lexus quits making them. You're gonna end up resulting to a used 200,000 mile grill that's all peppered, and you'll have to repaint it, refinish it, whatever, but that's something that I would probably try to keep on the shelf. Another one, which people don't think about, is the grille surround. That is the chrome piece. It's a piece of chrome plastic that gets all pitted up, and you can buy a new one still from Lexus for about $500, put it on the shelf. I replaced mine very recently. You've seen my bumper removal video when I did the lower carbon fiber piece, which is another piece, but because of refinishing, it's not as important. But that grille surround was replaced, and those grille surrounds, they discolor, they chip, they bubble. There's all kinds of things that happen to those, and you can still buy them new. Why you can, I would go grab one of those. Other things that I think will still be available are, like I'm replacing it on my bumper. This is the front radar, the Lexus logo, basically for the front bumper. It sits in the front grille. And I'm looking at my parts here. The retail on this part is $552.55 here in October of 2025. The price I paid at Bell Lexus was $408. So it's basically a $400 piece of plastic that has some kind of transparency for the radar sensor that's behind it. And there is a different one that's like $200, and I think it's for the ones in the markets, the GSFs in the overseas markets that weren't equipped with the radar cruise control. And I don't know if it's transparent. I wasn't gonna risk it, taking the bumper off, doing all this other stuff, just to have the part give me issues. So I bought the right part. I'm gonna put paint protection film on it, but these get yellowy and hazy, and they get pitted up from road use. And mine has paint protection film on that original logo, but I'm going to the expense of replacing the grille surround and the carbon fiber piece. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. But I think this is something, because it's the Lexus logo, it's probably gonna be available long after some of these others are discontinued. My experience with Toyota parts is it's generally 10 years after the last production is when they start to discontinue parts. However, that has been for like the Land Cruiser and things like, we have a Land Cruiser 200 series. The Land Cruiser, they're a lower production car, but only in the United States. Everywhere else in the world, they sell them like crazy. And so you can still get parts pretty easily. Now, this car, the GSF, there are 4,800 of them worldwide, or 2,348 of them in the US. That's a low production car. And I would not be surprised if they start discontinuing parts before that 10-year mark, so 2030. Here we are at the end of 2025. So you're talking about maybe 4 more years of parts availability, but my experience with, like, I did the orange seats, the Japanese orange seats in this car. There's like 300 cars that were equipped originally with that interior. That's it. And when I was able to acquire the front seats, but I was not able to buy the back seats brand new because they've already discontinued them. They've already discontinued the orange door panels. There's so many things that they've already started discontinuing, but that is a lower production interior than the rest of it. Now, like the black interior, the red interior, you probably would be able to buy those out to the 4 years. But the other thing is, any of these cars that Lexus certified pre-owned, bumper to bumper, anything like that, they have to be able to supply parts for that until that runs out. Also with any of the recall parts, the high pressure fuel pumps, things like that, but that is specific to the 2UR GSE engine that Lexus is still making in the LC500 and the IS500 for the rest of this year. But the engine parts, I don't think you'll have a problem finding, but it is definitely the stuff you touch. Seats, steering wheels, shift knobs, armrest. The armrest is about $500. The steering wheel is about $1,000. So, it's not inexpensive, but it's probably a great idea, especially if this is a car you're gonna own and hold on to long term. Now, yes, you can get seats refinished, you can get steering wheels refinished, you can get an armrest refinished, but they're only original once, and you have the original parts to replace it with. It's comes down to a personal preference at that point. But shift knobs, you can get a shift knob for less than $100. and it makes it look brand new. I don't know, I've got a video here, some other parts that I'm not thinking of offhand that I'll show you, things that I have sitting in my parts bins for this car later on, but I'm also planning on buying a second one. So, you know, that's gonna be one more to drive and put miles on. This is gonna be more of the nice day car, which it has been for the last couple of years for me. So here's some other options. Factory lighted door sills. They were an option on these cars. Mine came with them equipped already. They're still available. They're about $500 for all four. Front grille inserts, the lower bumper inserts. They fit terribly. They get chipped up if they don't have paint protection film on them. Those are what my old ones look like with 55,000 miles on them. And there's the part number for them. They're called a radiator garnish. There's a left and a right. They are specific to the GSF. The center console vinyl trim. You can still buy those new. They are left-hand drive and right-hand drive specific. Still available. Tow hook covers, especially the front one, because it doesn't fit very tightly and they like to disappear. They're painted and they are specific to the GSF. All-weather floor mats or the carpeted floor mats, they are also specific. They say GSF. You can buy GS ones and they will work, but if you want the ones that actually say GSF on them, and they are left-hand drive and right-hand drive specific. So if you have a right-hand drive car, you cannot use left-hand drive floor mats. They fit differently. The little mouse knob, that is something that wears and gets filthy and sticky and everything else. You can still buy it new. There's the part number. 84811 30070. Key covers. You can still get them, and they are F-car specific. There are a lot of aftermarket options for those. Center caps with wheel cleaners, especially aggressive wheel cleaners, they start to get behind the cover and do what you're seeing here. They turn black. Those are what my old ones were doing, and so I replaced them, and there is the part number specific to all years GSF wheels. Badges, trunk badges, that is not an inexpensive badge, but what you'll find is the blue starts to wear off around the edges, especially from polishing, including the fender vents. There is a left and right logo you can see for the front fenders. And there is the rear one called the plate luggage compartment. All right, so I hope this video is helpful to you just to kind of get your brain thinking about parts you may want to grab and hold on to while they're still available. The torque vectoring differential, that is something that I think will be available more used than anything, but the torque vectoring differentials on these cars, brand new, are $36,000 and only going up because of tariffs and everything else. You can get them from Japan, brand new, for about $8,000 to $10,000, but then you have shipping, tariffs, duties, everything, so it's probably still a little bit more than that, but it's not $36,000. The RCF that is equipped with the torque vectoring differential is the same exact part. The torque vectoring differentials, as long as they're maintained, you shouldn't have any issues. There's people with these cars that have had 90, 100,000 miles on them and they were never serviced and they've had issues with them. And so that is something that I would definitely consider parking on the shelf, but I don't think that's probably lower on the list of priorities. So anyway, I hope it helps somebody, but that's kind of what I have on the shelf, what I'm thinking about. So thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.